Live. Welcome back to another episode on the See Through It podcast. I am your host, Brian Sales. Let me make sure my mic is right. There we go. Um, Tonight we are recapping some of the football games that have taken place already. I was trying to wait till the Ohio State Nebraska game was over, but that game is already over. Right now, the halftime score is 38 to nothing. Nebraska is getting shellacked pretty good at home. And that was one of the teams that I had that was a sleeper in the Big Ten. It was one of the teams that I had that I felt like they was going to make some noise. I mean, they still can. It's still early. But they're not going to make a lot of noise like I thought they were. I mean, they can still compete in the Big Ten West. But once again, that conference is owned by Ohio State. That conference is the property of the Ohio State Buckeyes. So before we get into all of that, just want to say real quick, if you want to follow me on the podcast page, there is the link right there, www.facebook.com/STIPODCAST. Go to that link, hit the like button, the follow button. Would greatly appreciate that. If you could do that, go ahead and do that for me. Also, like I said, I have the YouTube page up and going. I've been uploading a bunch of episodes to that page here recently. I just got to now make them public. I already have a couple of videos on there. But if you could go ahead and smack that subscribe button and join the conversation on the YouTube page, that would be awesome too. As soon as I get the URL, as soon as I get the URL up and running, I would have to. I think I have to have. I think I have to have 100 subscribers before I can get a customized URL. So please help out with that if you could. Go ahead and smack that subscribe button so I can get the URL instead of having a weird bunch of numbers and slashes and other nonsense involved in the URL address to the YouTube channel. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this college football recap. And today, some of the games that I watched today, I was going back and forth, was the Big Ten, Minnesota and Purdue game. I thought, well, Purdue did make a game of it late, but that's not the same team from last year. Rondell goes down with a bad knee injury. I don't know what the injury is, but it looked bad in the replay. I don't know how much time he might miss with that, but that's not the same team that was. Oh, hello, Mallory. I see you. Aloha. That's not the same Purdue team that we saw from last year that took out the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Big Ten West is still up for grabs. I mean, right now everyone's putting their chips into Wisconsin, but Wisconsin didn't look that great against Northwestern. Maybe you can chalk that up to them coming off an emotional high of beating Michigan at home. When Northwestern always plays them tough after they play Michigan. Maybe you can chalk that up to them. So we'll have to see how Wisconsin bounces back their upcoming game. But the Big Ten West is with Nebraska taking this beating right now, Purdue not looking the same. I don't know who's going to take control of it. Iowa haven't been tested yet. Besides playing Iowa State, they haven't been tested yet. So the season is still early. We still got a lot of games left. We'll have to see. But I don't think there's anyone that's going to challenge the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten. I don't see it. Not in the Big Ten. But they're about to run away with that whole conference. Maryland, we thought Maryland was going to be something special. They got beat down by Penn State. Yes, I will be. Yeah, I will be there. I will be there. Maryland got beat down pretty good. It's not going to be any competition. Michigan State struggled against Indiana. They're up and down, inconsistency. That defense is not the same as previous Michigan State teams. Michigan got a cupcake game against Rutgers. They needed that win. It's the same old story. The Ohio State Buckeyes runs that They run that conference. The Pac-12, like I said before, if Oregon loses, that was going to be the dreams of the Pac-12 getting into the playoffs. And they lost, and now they're clinging on to hopefully Washington. Maybe Washington can get in. With Washington being USC, I thought USC was going to take care of that. I thought USC was going to play them a little bit better than how they played them, but they've been battling. They lost that game by 14. What else can you say? I mean, the team that I did have that was a sleeper that I said was going to be a sleeper was Arizona State. If Arizona State didn't have their one loss, Arizona State would look pretty good. Although they're not a electrifying team or a high offensive, explosive team. They play solid defense, and you can always trust Herm Edwards is going to put those young guys in a position to win the football games. He's not going to have them doing anything that they're not supposed to be doing that's going to cost them the game. Maybe in a couple years, we can see Arizona State being a contender for the Pac-12 and maybe waving their hands like, hey, playoff committee, we won in. Maybe. We're not there yet, but Herm Edwards is building something special out there in Arizona State. I keep telling people, watch them. Watch what he's doing out there. He's doing something special out there in Arizona. So that one sleeper team that I have highlighted, they're still doing their thing. Another sleeper team that I had was going to be Texas A&M, but they've fallen apart. Even though they beat Arkansas, they didn't look good beating Arkansas. They're not doing anything. Who else did I have? I had Iowa State as a sleeper in the Big 12. They're not going to do anything. The Big 10, I had Nebraska, and when we're seeing what they're doing on TV right now, they're some years behind. It's going to take some time for the Nebraska Cornhuskers to catch up, especially if Ohio State is going to continue to recruit and continue to put out the talent that they put out every year in that conference. If there's no one else that's going to challenge them in the Midwest region, it's going to be tough for anyone in the Midwest to catch Ohio State. I don't see it happening. Nebraska can't recruit. Michigan's not going to recruit. What's up, Papa? Papa White. Good evening. It's going to be tough in the Midwest. Maryland's on the East Coast, but Penn State's still not the same. They haven't been the same since Joe Paterno. All the talent in the Midwest region goes to Ohio State, and it's hard to root for a team or believe that there's another contender in the Big Ten. Matter of fact, let's go through what I have for my contenders in each of the Power Fives. The Pac-12 has none. I have some people out there in California that I talk to that I'm supposed to be doing the show with, but there is none in the Pac-12. Let's just be honest. They're not going to get in with their schedules. They all have 1 losses. They might have 2 losses by the end of the season. The Big 12, Texas still is viable. Texas is still, if Texas beats Oklahoma, and then maybe not Texas, but Oklahoma can still get in. Oklahoma, that's a real contender. You have at least 3 in the SEC. Not really sold on Georgia yet because they struggled. I would have to say that's a struggle win against Notre Dame. Everyone was calling for them to win by 20. I still had them winning by 6, but I thought the offense would look a lot better than what it did against Notre Dame. It did not look the same. The defense, I already had question marks on their defense, but the offense didn't look like they could do anything. It didn't look like they could do anything. I have Alabama, LSU. Right now, everyone's high on Auburn. I don't know why. They're playing a good game right now against Mississippi State. They're blowing out Mississippi State. But again, it's Mississippi State. Bo Nix. I said it at the beginning of the season. Bo Nix. If Auburn wins that game against Oregon, we was gonna hear about it. They was gonna ride that wave until they lose. and they're riding that wave. That's if there's a top 10 team that should not be in the top 10, I would have to say Auburn. Just because they beat Texas, that Texas A&M does not count. Yes, Texas A&M was ranked, but that Texas A&M team was falling apart. It was on their way out. No, it's probably mine. I don't know. I know I'm upgrading my internet here soon because it's been acting kind of crazy. I know right now my light is flickering. I don't know if there's a little something going on with the. I need some more lighting, but anyway, um, thank you for tuning in, or thank you for stopping by. What I was saying, what I was saying. Oh, Oregon and Auburn. If Auburn beat Oregon, that they was gonna ride this wave, and now we're gonna have to hear about Auburn being a supposedly elite team, but we all know they're not elite. They don't have the offense. They're not consistent on offense. We still don't know what type of system Gus Malzahn is running. We don't know. We know he draws up different plans. He has tricks up his sleeves, and if they work, the team can come out with a victory. That's what we do know. So I don't want to put. If anything, I'll put Alabama. There's a little gap. LSU, another little gap. Then Georgia, and a huge gap. Auburn. If you got what I'm saying. So you got Alabama, little gap, LSU, and little gap, Georgia, and Auburn. And the reason why I have LSU above Georgia, because LSU can score. They put up 40 points on Texas. Georgia couldn't put up any points, no real points on Notre Dame. So that's how I have that ranked out for the SEC. And the ACC is Clemson. That's the only team out there, and they almost lost to North Carolina. Big Ten is Ohio State. There's no one else that you can be like, you know what, that team's going to the playoffs. Iowa, I guess if they run the table and if they win the Big Ten, they will punch the ticket to go to the get into the playoffs. But if they lose, I don't see them getting in. I can't see the Big Ten getting two teams into the playoffs. I don't see that happening. The only conferences that will probably get two teams in that I can see is the Big 12 and SEC. And some people are not even. They're saying just three teams from the SEC and then Clemson. That's 3 teams from the SEC and Clemson. I don't know about that. I mean, there would have to be some catastrophic things that would have to happen for there to be only 3 SEC teams and Clemson. That means that you have Oklahoma losing at least twice and Texas losing one more time. The Pac-12 is shooting themselves in the foot, I guess. That's the only thing that would make sense to me. To only have 3 SEC teams. And which 3 SEC teams would it be? Would it be LSU, Alabama, LSU, Auburn? Alabama, LSU, Georgia? Alabama, Auburn, Georgia? Like, I don't know. That would definitely make a lot of people mad. That would definitely make a lot of people mad. But this week was a pretty simple week in college football. It wasn't. If you looked at the schedule, there wasn't a lot of games that had you intrigued. There wasn't a lot of games this week that was very intriguing or that grabbed your attention. It was conference week starting off, and teams took care of business. Alabama, if we're going to talk about some of the teams that still need some things to be ironed out, Alabama defense giving up 31 points to Ole Miss. I don't like that. That doesn't look good. Ohio State right now taking care of business. Everyone's saying Ohio State hasn't played anyone. Well, so be it. They have not played anyone, not yet. They first conference games in Nebraska. Everyone thought that was going to be a solid. I'm not going to say everyone. I thought that was going to be solid competition, but it's not. It's not solid competition, but you can only play who's on your schedule. And when you play these guys, when you play these teams that's on your schedule, the point is to leave the point is to leave no doubt. You go out there and handle business like Ohio State is doing. Yes, they're not playing anyone, but their defense is not taking any snaps off. Their offense is not taking any snaps off. That's what you want to see. You want to see your team come out there and dominate from the beginning whistle to the ending whistle. You don't want to see them taking plays off. I don't care if it's first team, second team. You don't want to see these guys take, because if there's injuries, you want that second team and third string personnel to be able to come in and fill in and play with that same energy, that play with that same motor. You want to see that. And if they can't do that, you don't want them in the game. So that's the whole point of seeing these teams start the game strong and finish the game strong. My take, I don't think Alabama finished that game strong on defense. Nick Saban has seemed very happy in the press conference. Not saying that he was like angry, but he knew that defense needed to do better. And they didn't show very well. They did go on a 31-point scoring, put up 31 points, and the defense definitely took their foot off the pedal. They got relaxed and gave up 279 rushing yards to Ole Miss. If anything, I think that's a glaring issue. They gave up a lot of rushing yards to South Carolina. This week, they gave up 279 to Ole Miss. That's huge. That is huge. The defense got to step up. Like I said, Ohio State is looking very good. They're taking care of business. Clemson, I think they got some issues on offense. I don't know if it's Trevor or if the tape is out. People are able to game plan against him so they can see what they need to do against him. But that's not the same quarterback that torched Alabama in the championship game. That's not the same guy. And they barely got away from Mac Brown and those Tar Heels in North Carolina. I expect them to drop. They might not, but I expect them to drop. If this was the BCS standings, I was talking to my dad. If this was the BCS standings, they would take a hit for that. Because control of the game. They didn't control the game. They struggled. They didn't control the game. Another game that I wanted to highlight. Congratulations to Notre Dame on a bounce back victory against Virginia. I thought Virginia was gonna show up and play. First half, it was back and forth, but the defense for Notre Dame was stout. That was stout. That was stout defense by Notre Dame. Couple of 8 sacks, I believe, 5 turnovers. That's a good bounce back victory for Notre Dame. They got USC. The rest of the schedule is pretty. I thought the USC matchup was going to be tough, but USC is not. They not looking too strong anymore. If Notre Dame can hold out and win the rest of their games, they might. If other teams start faltering, I don't think other teams will falter. But if other teams do falter, Notre Dame might be able to sneak back into the playoff conversations. David Pollack said that was it. This morning, David Pollack said there was no way Notre Dame's getting into the playoffs. Kurt Hershey was like, yeah, we don't know. We don't know yet. It's still early. There's a lot of football left. But like I said, something catastrophic would have to happen to the teams in the Big 12, Texas and Oklahoma, LSU, Auburn, and Georgia. They all got to play each other. And we forgot to mention Florida is right there trying to bring up the rear. So we'll see. If Notre Dame continues to win, we'll see what happens. But there's definitely going to have to be some losses somewhere else so Notre Dame to help Notre Dame to get into the playoffs if they have a chance. But let's go ahead and talk about my Heisman favorites. I had Trevor Lawrence up at number 1. This was the beginning of the season. And this was actually in the offseason, like way back. But the way Tua and Jalen they're playing, it's crazy. It's crazy. Everyone wants to throw Jonathan Taylor in there, but I haven't seen enough. He's a good running back, but he hasn't done anything crazy or he's not dynamic or explosive. So I don't know if I want to put him in there. If he was like, let me see. Wisconsin has had a lot of running backs. Ron Dane being one of my favorites. I don't know if he's Heisman. He's carrying that team. He's carrying the team. I'm not going to deny that. But I wouldn't say he's a Heisman. He should be in the Heisman considerations. If you had to rank it, I guess I would have him outside the top five, maybe six. Um, he didn't have a big game today against Northwestern, so we'll see. But the three that I want to talk about is Tua, Jalen, and Justin. They're they're playing great. They're putting up some numbers. Right now, 38-0 on the road in Nebraska. What else? He's putting up the numbers. He's putting up the numbers. They're beating the teams that's in front of him. He can't do anything else. He can't substitute these teams and put another team there and produce those same numbers. He can only do the numbers that he's supposed to do on the teams that he's playing, and he's doing it. Tua is not really getting any fourth quarter action, um, but while he's out there, his team is putting up points. Jalen Hurts, same thing. Everyone wants to keep giving a trophy away in week 1, week 2, week 3. I guess it's just to drive the debates and drive people crazy of hearing Heisman talk all the way up until the Heisman Trophy is actually delivered to the winner. But if we had to rank them right now, I would. That's tough. I don't even know how you. If you had to rank the Heisman, hmm, I would. I neither neither player has played anyone worth consideration yet. I mean, Justin Field just played Nebraska, but they're not showing anything. Oklahoma hasn't really played anybody yet, and Alabama hasn't played anyone yet either. So if we was to just forget about the names and just look at the stats, like no bias. If we were just to look at the stats, I would go Tua. If we forget everything that we know about these people and just look at stats, it's like if you were dropped onto planet Earth and you saw three names and you saw numbers beside them and you seen what they were doing in games. I would go Tua, Jalen, and then Justin Fields. That's my top three for the Heisman race. Tua, Jalen, and Justin Fields. I feel very confident that we might be seeing that later down the road. This is the top three that's going to be racing for that Heisman Trophy. Um, I feel like that's the rankings. I feel like that is a solid, accurate um, positioning for each player. Tua number one, Jalen two, Justin Fields three. So it's going to be exciting if these players keep continue to do what they're doing in the season. It's going to be very exciting. The numbers are only just going to be massive. I mean, massive. So, but yeah, that's what I'm looking at. But we're just gonna wrap that college football talk up. Like I said, this was an easy week. This wasn't really a lot going on in college football. There wasn't anything intriguing. No big time matchups. No real scares besides Clemson getting scared by North Carolina, but it's a pretty easy week. Next week things should definitely be heating up. Definitely next week should be a cooking pressure cooker because we're gonna be getting into it's October. The season starts up. Survivor Series basically in October. Can you survive the month of October? Things start getting cold. The weather starts changing. Can you survive the month of October? So as we look forward, tomorrow is Sunday, NFL. NFL. How many games do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games. Actually, yeah, we got 13 games tomorrow. So I'm gonna just go ahead and give my predictions for some of these for these games. Carolina, Houston. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Deshaun Watson. Texans are at home. I'm gonna say they gonna. I'm not gonna do a score, but I'm gonna just say Houston. We got KC at Detroit. That's easy. That's KC. Cleveland and Baltimore. Cleveland needs this game. Cleveland needs this game, but I feel like Baltimore will win. So I'm gonna give it to Baltimore. Tennessee, Atlanta. Atlanta needs to win this game. I feel like if they lose another game, New Orleans gonna find some. New Orleans got a tough game against Dallas. That's a tough game against Dallas. Maybe New Orleans won't run away with the division, but Atlanta has to win this game at home. Tennessee needs a win. It's not like if they don't win or lose, it's breaking the season. But you don't want to get too far back. You don't want to get too far back. Tennessee, they're in that tough conference, not conference, but division with the Texans, Jacksonville, the Colts. They're all playing good right now. They're Minshew in Jacksonville. He's gonna get some W's. Who am I gonna take for Tennessee and Atlanta? If Atlanta loses, they need to hit the reset button. Yes, in Game 4, Atlanta needs to hit the reset button. Well, I'm going to take Atlanta at home. I'm going to say Atlanta comes out and they win that game. New England and Buffalo, that's a good game. That should be a good game. But it's New England, Tom Brady. So I'm going to go Tom Brady beating Buffalo in Buffalo. Dallas, New Orleans. You got Dak coming off that game against Dallas where they had some adversity. New Orleans at home with Teddy Bridgewater. That's a tough one. I'm going to go Dallas. I'm going to go Dallas winning that game. That might be a real close one, like a real close one. We got Jacksonville traveling to Denver. Jalen Ramsey had his baby, and he's with the team in Denver. Denver's offense looks horrible. I'm going to say Jacksonville wins that game. Minnesota and Chicago. Everyone, please. That game against Washington. That was a good game by the defense. Don't get blinded by nonsense and the score and stop it. The name of the podcast is See Through It. Chicago won that game because of their defense. Because the defense comes out every down, every play, and they're giving 120% because they know in the back of their heads that they have to keep the offense in a good field position to hopefully score. They was gassed in the second half. Minnesota, on the other hand, Kirk Cousins, how much do you trust him? He's inconsistent. I wish I had a coin, I would flip it. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Do I trust Mitch Trubisky more than Kirk Cousins? Minnesota has a solid defense too. It's not as good as Chicago's defense. Minnesota has a lot more playmakers on offense. I'm going to go to Minnesota. I just don't trust Mitch. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky. So we got Tampa Bay and the LA Rams. That's easy. LA Rams. What's his name is still the quarterback there. Seattle, Arizona. Seattle's definitely looking to bounce back after Russell Wilson threw the ball like 100 times in that game and still lost. Seattle comes back and get a bounce back victory against